I'm Cree Nation. Welcome to APTN National News Daytime. Thank you for joining us. Following Manitoba RCMP's $1.2 million drug trafficking bust in Bunnabonaby, Cree Nation last week, another person has been arrested in relation to illegal drugs. According to Manitoba RCMP, last Wednesday on December 10th at around 11 p.m., Oxford House RCMP received a request to assist a First Nations safety officer outside a home in Bunnabonaby, Cree Nation. A woman was being detained as a result of a drug investigation. A search of the woman's backpack revealed 86 grams of crack cocaine, 127 Oxycontin pills, and nearly $29,000 in cash. 35-year-old Melvina Cannaby of Bunnabonaby was arrested and charged with possession and was remanded into custody. The charges have yet to be tested in court. RCMP continued their investigation this week. The Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations is demanding answers this week after a video posted to social media over the weekend shows an Indigenous man lying face down in the snow outside of Prince Albert's Victoria Hospital. APTN News spoke with the eyewitness. Here's an update and a warning. This video may be distressing to some. Two videos posted to Facebook over the weekend show two incidents that look to be connected. The first one shows an Indigenous man laying face down in the snow while convulsing. Temperatures were in between -25 and -36 that night. The second video shows three security guards pushing the man in a wheelchair through the hospital parking lot as the man is screaming and saying he wants to go home. Courtney Daniels caught both incidents on camera last Thursday night as she was parking with her sister.
My sister kind of let me know, they're dragging someone out, and I was like, what? So by the time I had already looked, I turned to the left and I could see through the vehicle beside me, and I could see these three security guards pulling this guy. So automatically I thought, like, that didn't look right.
The Prince Albert Police Service says they are investigating the incident. They said on Thursday, December 11th, they received a report about a disturbance in the 2300 block of 10th Avenue West at around 10:50 p.m. When they arrived, they found an intoxicated male who was provided medical help. Police would only say the man was evicted from a property. In a statement, the Saskatchewan Health Authority said an individual who was disruptive in the emergency department waiting room was escorted from the building. Saskatchewan Health Authority is reviewing this situation with our security provider to ensure all proper processes were followed. Our goal is to always provide compassionate, appropriate support and to identify opportunities to strengthen our approach in the future. In a statement, the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations allege inhumane and systemic racism from Victoria Hospital staff, including from the security staff who evicted the man from the property. FSIN Chief Bobby Cameron added, "It's another example that First Nation people and their lives are simply not valued equally in our healthcare system. This is not care. This is cruelty dressed in uniforms and policies. Racism kills. There are addictions in our communities. The way the security guards handled this incident was inhumane and cruel."
They need to treat everybody with equality. It doesn't matter the race that they come from. It doesn't matter. This could have been someone else other than my own race, and I would have done the same thing. It's about having love for everyone. You have to love what you're doing. Otherwise, you shouldn't be in that area.
The FSIN is demanding the immediate termination and investigation of the security personnel involved and is calling for accountability from the Saskatchewan Health Authority. The Beardies in Okamassis Cree Nation, located about 80 kilometers northeast of Saskatoon, is postponing all of its Christmas gatherings this year after a flu outbreak put a number of people in the hospital and took the life of one local matriarch. Leadership made the announcement over the weekend. They said, due to the rising cases of influenza, Chief and Council have made the difficult decision to postpone all community dinners, including on-reserve urban and elder gatherings, until the new year and when the current flu season subsides. Leadership said their heart and prayers are with the family of the matriarch who died. They said the health and safety of community members remains a top priority, and they encourage all Beardy's and Okamas's families to get their flu and COVID-19 vaccinations. Prince Albert RCMP is seeking to identify a suspect involved in a recent robbery in a nearby First Nation after a vehicle was stolen and a person was assaulted. Officers responded to a robbery in the Muscadet First Nation last Saturday at around 11:15 p.m. The victim was driving on Bear Paw Drive when they stopped and were approached by a man who threatened them with a weapon and stole their vehicle. The victim was also assaulted, suffering from non-life-threatening injuries. The stolen vehicle was later found abandoned in Saskatoon. The suspect is described as wearing a red and black hat and a silver chain. Anyone with information is asked to contact Prince Albert RCMP or Saskatchewan Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. 2 Mi'kmaq cabins at Hunters Mountain were torched over the weekend. One cabin burnt to the ground, while major damage occurred to the second cabin. But as APTN video journalist Angel Moore reports, Mi'kmaq land protectors allege it's a hate crime.
An anonymous post on social media shows the kitchen cabin burning at the Mi'kmaq Land Protectors Hunters Mountain camp. Michelle Carmelina Bernard went to the camp the next day and posted the aftermath on her TikTok channel, Native Pride 2.0. Bernard is a land protector and grew up hunting on Hunters Mountain. She alleges on TikTok the fire was set deliberately.
Last night, they kind of burnt our cabins down. This is where we stand in solidarity and fight for our trees because they're clear-cutting.
RCMP are investigating the fire as suspicious.
Why do people hate so much? Like, this was a hate crime. Everybody knew this belonged to the natives.
The Mi'kmaq Land Protectors had been living at Hunters Mountain since last September. They've been preventing forest companies from accessing sites to clear cut. This video was posted by a Mi'kmaq land protector who was on the scene after firefighters arrived. The department responded at 1:20 Saturday morning. Chris Gugu donated the 2 cabins to the Mi'kmaq land protectors on behalf of the Mi'kmaq Rights Association.
I feel like it was a hate crime, but I don't really, I'm not mad or upset about it, because at the end of the day, they're just materialistic. And that's not enough to break our nation.
The cabins were vacant. The land protectors were in the process of shutting the camp down till next spring. The kitchen cabin was completely destroyed. The fire department extinguished a second fire inside the men's cabin, 100 feet from the kitchen's cabin.
Oh my God, all the memories we made in this cabin, all of us by that fire.
Gugu says the fire will not deter the Mi'kmaq from protecting their lands.
Regardless of cabins, they can easily be replaced in the spring, and we'll just come back bigger and stronger in the springtime and stop these corporations from raping our lands and resources.
RCMP is asking anyone with information to contact police or Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Jabutuk, also called Halifax.
We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can reach us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, go to www.aptnnews.ca. We're also on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow us at APTN News to see our latest stories so you don't miss a beat. There's a new building in downtown Edmonton dedicated to serving the homeless. This week, Boyle Street Community Services has moved into its new home at the King Thunderbird Center. CTV's Jeremy Thompson reports.
You know, when you look at this building now, there's hope. There's hope for our people. From the moment you enter the building, it's evident the King Thunderbird Centre, or Ogamau Piatsukamik in Cree, is designed to welcome people in.
First and foremost, this is a place of ceremony, a place where people can have that ceremonial and cultural grounding to their healing journey.
It's been 4 years since Boyle Street Community Services bought this old paintball arena with a vision for its new headquarters. There's office space for staff and different rooms where the vulnerable and homeless can get help in spaces designed to meet their needs.
We were touring a bunch of people around, and one of our community members just said, "This is for us," almost in disbelief, and that was really touching to me.
The center has 3 dens like this one where people can come to access professional services like housing and healthcare supports. While they wait, they can also just relax, hang out with friends, do some laundry, maybe play a game or two.
Moving from its old building by Rogers Place has been a bumpy road for Boyle Street. In late 2022, its development permit was revoked after nearby business and resident groups raised safety concerns, worried Boyle Street would be operating an overnight drop-in shelter and supervised consumption site. Neither of those services are offered here.
What we saw reflected in this process was the way often the people that we serve are treated in community and the way that they are wanted to, not to be around, to be pushed out.
This whiteboard gives a glimpse of what's actually been on offer since mid-November during the center's soft launch: a housing workshop, learner's permit lessons, and Cree classes.
Most people haven't even noticed that we're open, and we've had 2,000 visits in the last month.
Now that the King Thunderbird is officially open, Boyle Street only expects to get busier. Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Such a nice building. We have more news after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. This past Monday marks 10 years since the final report from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was first released, marking it a day of reflection and renewed calls to tackle residential school denialism. APTN's TR Wheatley reports.
My name's Michelle Robinson. I use they, them.
They are the voice behind the Native Calgarian podcast. Robinson started taking up space in 2018 to educate her city, province, and beyond on the Truth and Reconciliation's 94 calls to action. December 15th marks 10 years to the day the TRC held its closing ceremonies in Ottawa. Robinson recalls a day in era, thinking of her grandmother who attended Sacred Heart Indian Residential School in Fort Providence.
Our survivors finally got a chance to be properly acknowledged. I was really grateful that my granny at the time was alive.
Robinson says she grew up in shame. It was later in their adult years that they began to understand the gravity of what people had to endure.
That's talking about the gravity of what has happened in the past and continues today because of the policies of the past. So for me, that was it's like my religion. It's my goal in life, is that am I honoring my ancestors every single day? And the 94 calls to action, as well as the 231 calls to justice that came from the TRC, like those are things that I can give to people as solutions.
On the weekend, another solution that's coming to light came in the form of a resolution at this year's Assembly of First Nations annual gathering earlier this month. Chiefs left the event agreeing to press Canada to deal with Indian residential school denialism, including AFN Regional Chief of British Columbia, Terry TG.
I think it's really important that the government amend the criminal code to include denialism as part of hate speech. So that's really important, especially as we've seen the increase of denialism here in British Columbia and elsewhere.
TG says reflection is good, but action is needed.
It's always a good reminder after 10 years to do a check-in, if you will. I think it's always important to do a check-in every year, but this is a milestone, and it really demonstrates how far we've come, but also more importantly, how much further we need to go in terms of reconciliation.
To gauge how far Canada's come is Negon Sinclair, an Indigenous Studies professor at the University of Manitoba and the son of the late Chief Commissioner Murray Sinclair.
So about 14 of them are completed in whatever way you want to argue it. About 40 are underway, and then about 40 or so have no process, no action at all. That's a very frustrating experience. My father, during his final days, expressed a lot of frustration to me about that the process was going slow. But he and I both agreed that in 10 years, you saw more change than you had ever seen in the past 150.
As for the denialism that exists, Sinclair has a different theory.
Yes, of course, residential school denialism is a real thing, but I think it's by less people every day. I think there are more people wearing an orange shirt, taking action, doing an event on September 30th, for example, than we ever seen in history, approximately 15 million, according to the Ledger poll.
And while that may be true, Robinson prefers what the AFN chiefs are calling for.
To say Indian residential school denialism should be a hate crime, yes. Long list of many others, including fraud for pretend Indianism. Like, there's so many things that we could be really charging people with.
Saying when that happens, we'll only force naysayers to get on board, or at the very least stay quiet or go to jail. Pierre Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
We now want to tell you about this week's new web poll question. Over on our website, we ask, has Canada made progress on reconciliation in the 10 years since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission released its final report? You can answer yes, no, or unsure. Go to our website at aptnnews.ca/poll to have your say. A First Nation in New Brunswick wants the Supreme Court of Canada to overturn a lower court decision regarding land claims. The move comes after the New Brunswick Court of Appeal ruled in favor of private logging corporations in an Aboriginal title claim case launched by the Wolastoqey Nation back in 2021. The appeal court decided private land could not be included in the claim. The Wolastoqey Nation has asked lawyers to seek leave to appeal the decision to Canada's highest court. A recent meeting named The Unmaking of Métis Claims in Ontario drew a sold-out crowd. Scholars and First Nation leaders gathered together over the weekend for a forum in Sault Ste. Marie. First Nations claim several communities represented by the Métis Nation of Ontario are not legitimate. According to Chiefs of Ontario Regional Chief Scott McLeod, historically there were no Métis in Ontario. He says there were First Nation individuals and families who were disenfranchised due to government policies.
It's not up to a colonial, federal, or provincial government to be the gatekeepers on who we are. It's up to us. And if there's any claims by MNO members or any other member that claim to be Indigenous in our territories, from our territories, they need to come to our First Nations and seek that recognition, not from a provincial government, not from a federal government. They need to come to our nations, and they need to, and we will be the gatekeepers on that. There's a lot of work ahead of us for sure.
Regional Chief McLeod says there will be more meetings like this planned on a national scale in the new year. Mohawk historian and scholar Cody Grote is our guest on an all-new episode of Face to Face tonight with Dennis Ward. As an assistant professor of history and Indigenous studies at Western University, Grote says he has been paying close attention to the Memorandum of Understanding between the federal government and Alberta.
Our recent shift towards pipelines, I think, is an interesting development that we're starting to see again. I think that we are perhaps not taking the very significant concerns of environmental degradation as seriously as we should be. There is this desire to address potential Albertan separatism, for example, where I think we might be catering a bit to some of those economic realities associated with pipelines, cultivating some of that. And I think if we don't take a step and really recognize how detrimental that will be, we are going to be talking about this for years and generations to come.
And make sure to watch that new episode right after your evening news later today. Our 12 Days of Languages continues. Stick around for the next segment. We'll be right back. Must-see Cho for staying with us. St. John's -2, Charlottetown -6. Cartwright, clear skies and -9. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, -14. St. Jovite, -5. Val-d'Or, -6 and flurries. Toronto, partly cloudy, -5. Peterborough, flurries and -4. -4 in Elliott Lake. Wawa, -2. Norway House, -14 and sunny there. God's Lake, -11. Gimli, rain and -1. Winnipeg, +6. -5 in Regina. North Battleford, -17. La Ronge, -18. Buffalo Narrows, -20. -27 in High Level. Peace River, -23. 3 in Lethbridge. Calgary, -2. 7 in Tofino. Penticton, 4. -1 in Smithers. Prince Rupert, 4. -31 in Old Crow. -39 in Dawson. -25 in Trout Lake. Yellowknife, -31. -23 in Sax Harbor. Paulatuck, sunny and -17. -28 in Baker Lake. Chesterfield, -24. And Igloolik, -16. Arctic Bay, -28. Language retention has been something many have worked on this past year, including us at APTN National News. This Christmas season, we bring you our version of the 12 Days of Christmas. This time, it's the Dene language as we mark 5 workdays left after today.
My name's Michelle Robinson. Christmas was something that, because of the Indian residential school, my family was very Catholic and practiced all of the Christmases, including all of the worship that would include Mary and Joseph and Jesus. And when it came to realizing who I am, where I come from, and that I'm Dene, I recognized that I had to really start to learn a few words, and one of the ones that I learned right away was Mossy Cho. Mossy Cho is thank you. So you can say thanks and say Mossy. One of my other pet peeves in life is how we respect the image of Jesus, but I never felt that North America respected the image of what some people would call Sasquatch or Bigfoot. In my language, we call it Naga. And so that was a really important word for me to learn. Even in Anishinaabe ways, the out east, they have the symbol of Naga as one of the 7 core principles they have. In Dene, we have 9 laws that we abide by. I almost said obey, and that is trying to decolonize away from the Catholicism. One of the things that I did when I started to reclaim who I was learn about our elders. We have so many advocates that helped all the First Nations nationally. In my area, we had George Erasmus, and he had a book, and in English it means enough, but in Dene it's hota. For me, it's really important, especially as we try to reclaim who we are for winter solstice, and I try to have sacred fires for every full moon.
A big thanks to TR and the rest of our team for putting that together. That's your daytime newscast for this Tuesday. Dennis Ward is back for your evening newscast. Please join us then in a few hours. Hi, miigwech masicho. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again. Ekse.